Welcome back to the dating relationship with the relationship playbook with Chaz. I got a very special guest. This is a podcast where we discuss how to maintain healthy relationships, and this with relationships not with your significant other or spouse, but with family, friends, God, and your colleagues. I got a very special guest, Exquise CEO Gerald Parker. Thanks for coming on, G.
Thanks for having me, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. So, we got, I got your gear on. You part of the one of the partners and sponsors of the podcast, and I want people to, want to introduce you to my viewers and just kind of want them to know you as like a person, as a man of God. So one of the things I'm gonna kind of start off where Gerald is, man. He's a great guy for with Christian Tabernacle CTAB, faithful man that works with the media production team. He's there every Sunday, and man, just I see your work, your service, Gerald, and I just I want people to know like, hey, this man is there, um, all a lot. He serves every Sunday. He's there with the during the men's prayer breakfast, mantle up committee. You do so much for the church, and you take you have so much time that you put into CTAB, and I just wanted people to know that.
Appreciate that, man. It's a labor of love, man. It's what we do. It's
Yeah,
my relationship with God and my relationship with CTAB and everything that's connected to it. We just do our part. That's all.
yeah. I want to kind of get your experience and your relationship with Pastor Mormon.
Oh, wow. Wow. I have a lot to say about that. I just wanted to start that he's truly has blessed me. Um, my relationship with Pastor Mormon, I came in, much as yourself, I came in as a single man. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, when I did uh, come on to that church, I was a broken man. I have to admit
Okay.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, for people who want to know uh, what that means as a broken man, that means as a human being, I thought I was doing all right,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to expand myself, and I didn't know what was the proper direction. So I needed some guidance,
Mm-hmm.
and I need somebody to speak into my life. It's not as if I didn't know how to handle myself out in the community or in my work environment or with my family. I needed some serious direction. So Pastor Mormon, when I joined CTAB, he sort of like he took me up under his wing, and he gave me some proper directions with the word, with the scriptures,
Mm-hmm.
and with the other brothers that were around me, they surrounded me and showed me the playbook on how to be a faithful man,
Okay.
uh, a man who wanted to honor God because he honored God,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a whole army of men. I was like, what
I've
is?
heard about a lot of people tell me about, the presence of the men there. So that, you can go into that, Gerald.
Yeah, that blew me away. The moment I walked inside on CTAB, there was men at the door, there was security. Um, that was overwhelming from where I came
Mm-hmm.
from. I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. I didn't see that in the world. I didn't see that in other ministries, other churches. I had just came from San Antonio, Texas, and I had a church home there. And but when I got to CTAB, I had a decision to make. Chaz, you probably didn't know. I had an offer with the Department of Labor to go to at the time the federal government was contracting people to do over in the green zone. I believe it was not Iraq, but it was the because we still had a war going over there overseas, and I forget the actual area where they needed contractors to do fire marshal, do electrical,
Mm.
plumbing, mechanical, and we had a green zone. They says, okay, we'll put you guys over there up under contract for 1 year. And so I had 3 months to make a decision. And
Mm.
I remember we were having early morning, 8 o'clock meetings for the men. Pastor had overseen that. And I walked over to the brothers and I walked over to Pastor and I says, I'm struggling with a decision to make whether I
Mm.
should go overseas or whether I should stay here. What do you think? And so Pastor says, I'm gonna have you talk to a couple of men. And that's what happened. And thank God, I decided to stay. And once that decision was made, the rest is history. He blessed
Mm.
me, he blessed my family, and I still didn't have um, um, a mate, a
Okay.
woman, someone to bless me. Um, so as that time went on, um, Pastor put me in one of the ministries that served in security, and I was working so hard for the company I was working for. And the company I was working for, we were doing outstanding. I was working overtime, and the moment I get off of work, I would make it my way to the church to serve. And I was serving, working, serving, working, and it got to the point where God then says, "I'm going to move you in another space."
Okay.
And as that happened, that's when I met my wife, Jessica. We
Okay.
started to date. I asked Pastor about her, and Pastor says, I know she serves on our greeters ministry at the time.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep. And when you're single, uh, and Pastor got a lot of men who serve in different ministries, and man, women, women are women, men are men,
Mm-hmm.
and women tend to be attracted to men who serve
Mm-hmm.
and who have a good job.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start my own business. So Pastor said he sat down, he talked to both of us, and we were intentional. And Pastor says yes. So he asked his wife, Sister Mormon. He says, "What about that, Jessica?" She said, "Well, she has a son, very obedient, who loves God." Uh, and then that's where it really took off. So God blessed it. He blessed the business, and the rest is history. And history is still being made because of that.
How did you approach Jessica? Like how did y'all even encounter to I'm not yeah, how did y'all what was that first interaction like?
it's, it's funny that you asked that question because my wife brings it up all the time. So the reason I'm laughing, Chad, is because I didn't go after her. I went after her son. Okay.
What you mean by
So
that? What you mean
so
by that?
so I was always taking my nephews to Bible study and to church.
Mm-hmm.
They were young. They were the same age as her son, which is Miles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, "Hey, my nephew and my little cousin he has a birthday party coming up. Would you
Mm-hmm.
mind if I ask your son to go with us? I'm going to take them to the Pistons game. I'm going to take them out to eat, and we're going to have a good time this weekend. If you want him
Mm-hmm.
to stay the night at my apartment, it's up to you. I could take him home, and that way he'll be okay." She said, "Yeah, just bring him home, and everything will be fine. He'll be because she's seeing my nephews and my cousins coming to church,
Okay.
and as one of the leaders in my family, I would make it a point to do just that." So she says, "Yeah." So I had her drop him off at the church. Then we went to I think Five Guys to get something to eat. Then I took him to the baseball games. Then I took him to Dave and Buster's. And I took him to
Okay.
the boys can eat. I took him to the game. It was a whole weekend, by the way, and we had
Mm-hmm.
an awesome time. And then 2 weeks later, um, CTAB had a softball game that they sponsor for those in many different ministries. So we went out to play softball, and
Mm-hmm.
so Jessica was on my team, and Jessica
Okay.
played on a couple softball leagues.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I was interested in her, and she was like, "Yeah, I appreciate you spending time with my son. I thank you for that." I says, "Yeah, and how about you and I um, go out for you know for something to eat, coffee or something to eat?" So she was like, "Uh
Mm-hmm.
huh. Well, you're a little bit older than I am." I says, "Yeah, but that doesn't matter." She says,
Uh-huh.
"Okay." So she said, "So I can see this guy must be trying to hit on me." So we had another event for my nephew, and I said, "Well, do you mind if I pick up Miles and he can join us?" And she said, "Sure. Just bring him back at a certain time." And I did. I was very respectful.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew my cousins because they were all in the same Bible study class, and they had a good time. They knew each other by first name. They had a ball, right? And I was like, "Wow, these
Mm-hmm.
boys again. These boys can eat." So, so it was like four of them. We had a great time, Chaz. We had a great time. And then I asked her out again. And then she says, "I'll think about it." So I was doing a fire inspection at one of the buildings downtown. So as I was doing my fire inspection, I was going through the building, and guess who I ran into?
Jessica.
Jessica.
Uh-huh.
So she said, "What are you doing here? You following me? You you stalking me?" I says, "No, I'm doing my inspection. I'm doing my job. What are you doing here?" She said, "I work here for the city." I says,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, okay." So she said, "All right." So as I was walking through the building doing my fire inspection, the alarms are going off and all that. And it was so interesting. So the other women was noticing me that who works for the city. And she said, "Who's that guy you're talking to with that uniform on?" She says, "Oh, he go to my church." She says, "Is he single?" She was like, "What do you mean is he single? He goes to my church. I don't know if he's single or not." She
Yeah.
says, "Well, but I do know him." She said, "Well, you better get him." And
Mm.
so you know how women of the world speak,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But it was so cool, Chad. So that Sunday at church, she was like, "I'm gonna take you up on that offer." I says, "Cool, really?"
Mm-hmm.
So we go out that Saturday, right? And I had two phones, one my personal phone, my personal cell, and my work
Mm-hmm.
cell. And
Mm-hmm.
so my phone rings, and I thought it was my company phone. It wasn't. It was my regular phone. So my mom calls me, right? And she says, "Hey, son, what are you doing? We're going to get together. Me, your aunts, and your cousins. We're getting together some later on Sunday after church. Do you want to come by?" I says, "Yeah, mom. I'll be by there." She says,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay." She said, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm out on a date." She said, "On a date with who? Who is she?" So my family's very protective, and I'm very protective of them. So
Mm-hmm.
her name is Jessica, and but as soon as we're done, I'll give you a call, mom. She says, "Okay." So we hung up. She says, "Huh." So Jessica says, because Jessica's so, you know how women are very intuitive. So Jessica says, "Who was that?" I said, "That was my mom." She said, "Mom, who? Is that some phony name that you put on there?" I says, "No, that's my mother." She says, "Let me see." So I showed her my phone. She said, "Well, your phone is locked." I says, "I'm gonna give you the password." "No, you're
Mm-hmm.
not." I gave her the password. She unlocked it and she dialed the number. She says, "Hey, honey." I says, she says, "Who is this?" I says, "Well, they call me Jerry and not
Mm-hmm.
Gerald." So she says, "This is Jerry's mother. How can I help you?" She says, "Well, I'm Jessica. We're on a date. I just want to make." She says, "Well, I need to know who you are. Who's dating my son?"
Uh-huh.
"Well, I'm not dating him. We just on the date. I just want to make sure the phone was on. He's not playing around." She says, "My son does not play at
Mm-hmm.
all." And that's how it all got started. And so she respected that. And then she
Mm-hmm.
checked me out. She asked Sister Warman about me, passed that for her. And there it all started. And then, but it started with the son. That's how I
Okay.
got to her.
Okay. What you said that you she said you were older. Is it a large age gap between y'all two?
It's 11 years, so no, 13,
Oh,
because
okay.
12,
Yeah,
12.
yeah,
So,
you ain't gotta say her. I just didn't.
okay,
I didn't
yep.
notice it was it was a double digit age gap between y'all.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Double digits, yep. Hmm.
Yeah. That's that was pretty cool. As far as um it seemed like it was organic. It seemed like it was natural, like y'all didn't try to force anything.
No, but I was strategic. I prayed to
Okay.
God
Mm-hmm.
for a woman who I'm not going to waste her time. She's not going to waste mine. I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to. I wanted to be a person, a woman who was going to help me um, with 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 the business, and
Mm-hmm.
a person who's going to be a blessing to me and the family.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at that point, I knew if she was going to be the one, God was going to be the person who's going to direct me to that individual. And she was the one.
Did you know that? Like, what conversation with God did you know that? Hey, that was gonna be your wife?
So the way it went was I had to not just with the conversation with God. I told her, you too had to have a conversation with God because she came off of a bad relationship, and so did I at some point in
Mm,
time. But she was just leaving a bad relationship who did not honor, this guy did not honor God,
mm,
and and she wanted to make sure her son was covered
mm,
because whatever relationship she had prior to that, he was not in church and he didn't
mm,
serve God, and that was huge for her. And for me, I needed someone to cover. Um, and this young man was so obedient, and he also had some health struggles, but he was brilliant at school. He wanted to be a
mm,
doctor, and uh, um, so as time went on, we got engaged, and um, uh, somebody was texting me. So we got engaged, and it seemed so organic, and it seemed right
mm,
because as this young man began to grow, he needed because he didn't love his father, and
mm,
he had a problem with the relationship with his dad, and I stepped in at the right time. So God blessed it because not just him, but her and her household. So
mm,
that's the reason why. And he wanted to be a surgeon. He wanted to be a doctor, a neurosurgeon. So when we did get married, because Pastor Sister Mormon years ago, when Jessica first joined the church, Miles he almost died two, three times because he has a rare blood disorder.
mm,
And through that rare blood disorder, he will be, um, he will be a person who will always need some form of medication.
mm,
And he's what you call, he's called von, if I can pronounce it right, von Windebrod disease. In other words, he's missing factor A, a red white blood cells he can't generate.
mm.
So he's considered as a bleeder.
Oh, okay.
It's similar to like Pierre, Pastor P,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
similar to that, where it's like sickle cell anemia, where this one here is different because if you get a head bleed, if it doesn't get if you missing factor A, it can cause swelling and clogging of the blood. You can die, or if
Mm,
he has a bleed on the knee or ankle, he can't play sports and things that or serious sports. He can hurt himself and he can bleed out.
mm,
Yep. So but he still wanted to be a doctor. So as time went on, after being married some years, he went to MSU, graduated with honors, graduated
Hmm.
high in high school. Um, he's on his way to medical school now. He's doing fabulous. So that's part of the story.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. As we close, because I know we gonna, with what we got going on, you gonna be able to come on again. How long did it take for you all to go from like dating to engagement?
I'd say about a couple of years. So
Okay.
we dated a little bit more than a year before we got engaged, about a year. And
Hmm.
then we got engaged and we made a decision to get married. It was about that. And then we weren't going to waste any time. Um, we didn't want to make room for the devil. And
I hear you. Yeah.
and we weren't going to date other people. And so we didn't
Hmm.
want to make this 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 years before we made a decision. And since the
Hmm.
man is the one who find it a good thing, I wanted to, put a ring on her finger and say, okay, this is the process we're going to go. I met her family. She met my family. They all fell in love with her. Her family fell in love with me, and that was the process.
Yeah.
So we were intentional on the direction that we were going to take.
That pastor, did he marry you all?
Oh, absolutely. That's the
Okay.
only way. That's the only way this thing was going to get blessed. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Did he do
Pastors.
marriage counseling with you? I mean, like premarital counseling? How were
Mhm.
those sessions?
Oh, they were outstanding.
Like,
We
what
went
did
through
you
the
got? What did you get from those?
Well, first we went through the marriage counseling class first. We did that, and then it was like at the time years ago, I think marriage counseling was we met once a month or twice a month, something like that, or a 2 or 3 week course, whatever it was. And I remember the Browns were there. The marriage counseling club. It was the Browns, the Lyles, and a couple other couple. One couple's no longer there. I think Chris and his wife, and Brother Haynes, his wife. It was about 4 couples. It was really, really good. And then we did counseling um, uh, with with others at the church. Then we met with Pastor. Hold on one second. This is the white phone. We had counseling with Pastor and Sister Mormon because we ran into a little bit of difficulty after we got married. Uh, that was like for 2 or 3 weeks or something like that.
Hmm.
But for off and on, we've had counseling when things were going good and things were when things went bad, but we still had counseling in
Yeah.
there. Mm-hmm.
Uh, G, before we close, I do want to. I always have your website on the in the description and the show notes. But I want to give you an opportunity to talk about to share the website, contact information of Exquise
Mm-hmm.
Fire and Safety, so they people can know what it's about and how they if they need your services.
Absolutely, absolutely. So talking about the squeeze fire and safety, we are a total fire protection company. What we do is we do it's strictly commercial. We do installation, inspections, and testing and upgrades of fire alarm system, fire sprinkler system, kitchen suppression systems, um, fire extinguishers, emergency exit lighting for like every place, like uh, places of uh, places of faith, houses of worship, um, apartment buildings, industrial buildings, commercial buildings, uh, restaurants, places like that. So any place where you go out, shopping centers, places like that, that's where we perform our services.
That's awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
This is another incredible episode of the Relationship Playbook with Chaz as CEO, owner. Gerald Parker of the Exquise Fire and Safety. Thanks again, G man. This was good. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, man. This is good. I know it's short and sweet, but yeah,
Yeah,
everybody has a journey in their relationships, man. That's mine.
yeah.
It's
No,
unique.
that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.